So what I'd like to do with you is just to go over your career, ask you some questions from a French perspective, because your name, Mr. Poidevin, is quite French as well, so you have a bit of French blood in you somehow.
Absolutely, yeah. Pierre Laporte.
So if I may, I'll start off with your test debut. So what was your first game?
No, it was against Fiji and Suva.
And then you're a member of the Wallabies side that defeated New Zealand at the 1980 Bledisloe Cup series.
Yep.
And then you toured in 1984 and kicked our asses in England and Ireland for your Grand Slam.
Also there in 81, 82 when we lost 3 from 4. So I've been through the bad times as well.
Well, I'm just going to go over your highlights. And you're a member of the Wallabies team that beat New Zealand, the All Blacks, in 86.
In New Zealand in an 8-week tour, so it was 3 test matches.
The French Rugby Union Tour of Australia in 81. So how was that for you? And then from your perspective as a player, how was it to play in France?
It was a great opportunity for me to play against someone who I idolised as a flanker, being Jean-Pierre Rive. So Jean-Pierre Rive was the captain in 81 on that tour. And it's my second year playing with the Wallabies, so it was sort of a step up for me as well. But it was a fantastic series against the French, and I scored my debut try for the Wallabies at Ballymore off a Mark Lone pass from the back of the scrum, which was always memorable. But then Jean-Pierre Rive dislocated his shoulder, so we all thought that he's going to be out. That's the end of his tour.
Mm-hmm.
He turns up the Sydney Cricket Ground the next week, looking like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, with all his shoulder bandaged.
Uh-huh.
And heroically, he played the full game, and he should not have been out there. He couldn't really be the effective Jean-Pierre Rive machine. And in fact, at one stage, I bumped him in the back of the line, and he just said, "Oh, excuse me," as though it was his fault. So it was just quite bizarre.
That's a bit of a freak of nature. And there's also 83. So you did
83. We did a long tour of France, and I'll say honestly, it was the toughest tour I've ever been on, from the point of view of the physicality, the brutality, the travel. It was a really, really hard tour. We started off in a game at Strasbourg, which had the best all-in brawl that the game's ever seen. It would have gone for sort of 20 minutes. It was just unbelievable, mate. That all came from Pierre Labiziere getting scalped by Queensland in Queensland, and first scrum come through Queensland, and everyone's going, it's all about. Next minute, our 2-second row was getting kicked by the French, and it was on.
You said it was the toughest game you've ever been involved in, the most aggressive, most physical game you were ever involved in.
It was madness. It was just crazy, and in these days there would have been 10 guys red carded. And
then there was the Grand Slam in 84. Can you describe that?
Well, Grand Slam in 84 was a chance for those who went to 81-82, and 81-82 was expected to be the best Wallaby team that ever left the country shores. We didn't have a really strong tight 5, and it was a brutal winter. And it was a 3-month tour, and the 27 games, so it's a really hard, grinding tour. And we had a goal kicker who was legendary. So, we lost 3 from 4. It was a very disappointing trip. We had great times there, but 84 was a chance to bounce back. You coach Alan Jones. He really very strong.
Let's go on to the 1986 IRB tour that you did.
Yep.
And you played with Serge Blanco.
Yeah, and I was Nostradamus because we turned up at Carter Farms Park, and Serge Blanc, who was always a player who I really admired and was a very, very nice person. He wasn't nice when he scored the winning semi-final in 1987 at Concord Oval, but 1986, all the French players played with us against the British Lions, British United Lions at Carter Farms Park. I said to Serge before the game, I said, Serge, you're going to let me up for a try. The ball go from Poidevin to Blanco, Blanco to Poidevin, Poidevin to Blanco, Blanco to Poidevin.
It happened, of course, 87. That big that the try scored against you guys.
Yeah, and that was an historic moment for Australian rugby. That was first Rugby World Cup, and unfortunately we get exited in injury time at Concord Oval, and Serge scored the try, and Tommy Lawton just couldn't get across and make the tackle, and Laurent Rodriguez probably threw a pass which was questionable, but
could have been forward. Yeah, but it was scrappy but magnificent. If you're French, that is.
Yeah, and to hear the French with Jacques Farreau leading the team in the middle of Concord Oval and the Marseillais after the game, it was just was a magic moment for the French, and it was incredibly depressing for us.
Bledisloe Cup Series 1986. So that was quite a big moment. That was a big achievement for you.
And again, in the days of touring, it's an 8-week tour, so we are playing a lot of games across the whole of New Zealand. It's very challenging. We loved it. New Zealand were always the team that I wanted to nail. We were the best in the world. So that tour, with that win in Eden Park, was probably one of the most satisfying of my career, and that to beat New Zealand a series at home is a rare feat. And it hasn't been.
Let's go to the World Cup. I mean, you've won a World Cup, and of course you beat the Poms at the end. That was beautiful, quite poetic. How was that?
It was all the hard work that was sort of done that whole year. Of course, Bob Dwyer came back as coach in 1988, and really it probably started from there. And we just had fitness levels and strength levels, I think, which were ahead of most teams around the world, and that all came from a great coaching program, a great S&C, and a very, very good squad, good combination of older guys and younger guys. Lots of people in that team who could play in a World 15, and Ireland had us. They had us done and dusted in the quarterfinal. We had 5 minutes left, and we managed to score a try, which we'd used for the 2 previous tries, and that stunned the ground. The next week against the All Blacks, the semi-final was, I think, the best 40 minutes of rugby ever played with Australia. It was just an incredible first 40, and we just put the All Blacks away then, and then they couldn't get back into the game. And to beat England at Twickenham in a World Cup final was just magnificent as an Aussie.
Yeah, it doesn't get better, does it?
No, it doesn't get.
Francis Deltourelle, who the journalist, the French journalist. So it's thanks to him that we were having this conversation. So he wanted me to ask you about your memories of a French Barbarians against the Australian Barbarians. I think it was 94.
Yeah, 94. Yeah, I live in Coogee, which is a beautiful part of Sydney, and the French Barbarians were staying here, and I ran into Jean-Pierre Rive walking along the waterfront, and I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I'm here with the French. Here with the French Barbarians." And I said, "Oh, any chance I could get a game?" And he's gone, "Absolutely." So I played a midweek game with them, and then we played against the Australian Barbarians, the SCG, and we won.
2029 or something. And you scored it.
I scored a try as well. So I was a bit of a traitor to a country, but it was a great experience. I always loved I love the ethos of the French Barbarians. I think it's a great organisation. The fact that Jean-Pierre was there leading the charge, and nothing had changed. The dressing room before we went out to play at the SCG was absolute madness, and I've never seen a team going so nuts, smashing each other in a dressing room before a game. And I thought, okay, this is the way that the French sort of prepare themselves. So it was interesting.
Could you give me, because it's a French bar, what does French rugby mean to you as a player?
Going back in time, I always was captivated, as probably the French people were captivated by the '84 Wallabies, on the style of game we played and the style that the French played. Not so much in the last sort of couple of decades, but in the 70s, 80s, 90s, just that free-flowing, fearless attack around line. See the likes of, run 80 metres down Twickenham to score a try through just beautiful play. Very skillful back rowers. I had a great love-hate relationship with Eric Champ, who was a very tough nut, but we got on very well and had a great laugh after games after trying to kill each other. We're just formidable weapons. So I love the way the French played the game, the spirit they played the game in.
If you had any advice to give to young players today, what would it be? Right.
I would say that well, the young rugby players are at the control of the rugby rule makers and the rugby coaches. I come from a club which believes in running rugby. The French, in the spirit of the game, believe in running rugby. I would say hone your skills, hone your fitness, be prepared to run the ball from anywhere in the field, be prepared to be there to take the pass from one of your players who's made the break. And fitness on the field gives you lots of options and gives you lots of opportunities to be in the play. And so fitness is really important, but also skills. Alan Jones, '84 Wallabies, his skills training was unsurpassed in anything I've ever seen. And that team from front row to 15, anyone could throw a great pass, anyone could catch the ball, and the team played that way.
If you had to pick a French player from your position of flanker of your generation, perhaps today, who would you go for? Who would you pick?
Of the current generation?
Of your era and of the current.
Oh, well, you couldn't go far beyond Jean-Pierre. Like not a big man, tough, very, very intelligent, and just a warrior and a leader.
Are you coming here for the World Cup by any chance?
Probably not. It's my wife's 60th, and she's not in the sort of mood to go to Rugby World Cup for a 60th. So, all right, Rob. Great to meet you, mate.
And again, thank you very much for your time.
No problems at all.
Pleasure. Thank you.